When I tell you guys, I almost lost my fucking shit when this guy looked me dead in the eyes and said, "What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video, and today I'm trying something out that I haven't done in a really long time. It's this old concept that I used to do called No BS Shopify, where I started getting really pissed off with all the things that were happening in the industry, and I would kind of get on camera and kind of share my opinion on the discussion and kind of give my insight, because obviously I run a fairly large marketing agency for a pretty long time, so I would consider myself one of the leaders in this industry, and I obviously talk to a lot of other leaders in this industry, and there were certain things that people would say or do, or there would be common misconceptions that I would kind of hear about or see clients talking about that just really pissed me off, because I could tell that whoever they got the advice from or wherever they heard the misconception was just complete bullshit. And it really motivated me to start making these kind of rant style videos, kind of explaining, what the misconception is, why it's a misconception, just kind of having a discussion around the certain topic. And today's topic that we're going to be talking about is CPM, CTR, and essentially why they don't matter. And the reason I'm bringing this style of video back is because with the new development of TikTok ads, I'm seeing more and more misconceptions where I'm not even super duper experienced with TikTok ads like I am with Facebook ads, but even where I'm at, I can see that there's so many, misguided people and people that have the wrong, mindsets around certain subjects, such as CPMs and click-through rates and, all these different metrics that don't really matter. And if you're somebody who's actually scaling stores and doing things at a high level, you know that it doesn't matter. So you probably don't have to watch this video. Who I would recommend watching this video is somebody who's new to the industry, or maybe you're just new to TikTok ads in general. And I also know a lot of you watching this video have this misconception and have this problem where you think that CPMs matter when they really don't. And in this video, I'm going to be explaining to you why they don't matter, what you should focus on instead, and I promise you by the end of this video you will have a different mindset, and you'll have a mindset that is more geared towards hitting your goals, because I promise you that your goal is probably not what you think it is, and we'll get into that in a minute. So the number one thing that I want to say is CPMs are not a determining metric when it comes to figuring out how good or bad your ad is performing. Now I know that that's very contradictory to what most people will tell you, and I will explain exactly why that is, and I will also explain exactly why I personally say that CPMs and CTRs don't truly matter, and it's not, it shouldn't be used as a metric that tells you if a product is good or not. So like I said, one of the things that has motivated me to create this video and actually talk about this subject is I've been seeing an incredibly increased amount of people in my YouTube comment section, Instagram DMs, essentially asking me, what should my CPM be? Or I'm having this issue where I'm getting $10 CPMs, or my click-through rate is super low. Just these totally irrelevant things that obviously they think are very relevant. Somehow if they get a lower CPM, all of a sudden all their problems are going to go away and they're going to start making a bunch of money. It doesn't really work like that. And I honestly haven't seen this in years, because this is something that started happening like mid 2018 when I first started really seeing success with Facebook ads. I started realizing that, CPMs and all this bullshit doesn't really matter, yet people were so concerned and so turned over by this that I really had to adjust my mindset to start focusing on what truly mattered and just ignore the noise. And that's what CPMs and CTRs truly are in this industry. It's just noise. Now there are ways that you can actually utilize it to see increased results, which we will talk about and address in this video, but I am addressing you guys who think that CPMs and CTRs should be a determining factor of how good your ads are performing, because it's not. I think the number one reason most people think that these metrics matter is because of these, I don't want to say fake gurus, but kind of just like leaders in the industry that don't really know what they're talking about, or maybe they've seen success a few times, they don't truly have something that's replicable, and this is the problem. And especially if they're selling a course or some sort of mentorship along with it, they have high incentive to essentially teach you that endless iteration equals success. And I am telling you right now that endless iteration does not equal success, not in the e-commerce world. And it benefits them to tell you that it does, because what that does is it allows them to basically create a system for you to like split test different things and eventually see success. It's really hard to explain, but I hope that you get what I'm trying to say, that, if I can tell you that the only thing stopping you from going from nothing to a $100,000 store is just you haven't split tested enough advertisements for your product, it makes it really easy for me to then tell you I will teach you exactly how to split test your ads so that you can hit 100K. That's essentially my point. And what it does is it essentially makes me look even more like an expert, because I can basically tell you that, oh, if you're not seeing success, it's because your CPMs are too high. If your CPMs are too high, that means your ad is not performing as good. And if your ad is not performing as good, that means you don't know how to create an ad. Let me teach you how to create an ad, right? Like, it's just kind of like this perfect setup to fix a problem that wasn't really there in the first place. And yes, I am calling out a few of the leaders out there that do this, and I don't really care personally, because what I like to do is actually look at the results and the facts of what I'm seeing in the industry, because obviously I have a lot of different tests, a lot of different scales. We'll get into some of the things that I've experienced in a minute, but I look at the facts, I look at the data, and I leave my opinions out of it. I leave what makes sense out of it. So some of the things that I say might not make sense, but they make money. And that's kind of how I built my brand, and that's how I really want you guys to focus when you're learning in the e-commerce industry, is just like, it's cool if something makes sense, but you have to make sure that it actually makes money. Because if I tell you that having a low CPM equivalates into your success, it's very easy to understand because it makes sense, right? It's just like, oh, more people will see your ad for less money. It should equivalate into more revenue and more profits or whatever. It doesn't work like that. And anybody in the industry knows that it doesn't work like that. So one thing that I really wanted to push forward in this video is my level of experience. I don't really think I need to say it, because you can literally just go on my YouTube and scroll down. I've done tons of case studies. I've been in this industry for a long time, worked with a lot of people, including the other leaders and gurus that I've been talking about in this video. I've worked with hundreds of e-commerce stores, direct clients in my agency that we've brought to over 6 figures in sales, generated over $20 million in revenue using Shopify and Facebook ads and TikTok ads. I don't think I need to go in depth on my experience level on this subject, but one thing that I've never ever seen in all of my years in all the stores that I've managed is a bad selling product that sells good. Let me say that again. I have never seen a bad selling product sell good. Now, to elaborate this a little bit, yes, your success in the e-commerce world heavily relies on your actual product's ability to sell itself. Now, I don't want to say that you can't force a product to sell and you can't make iterations and split tests and improve your results, because that's obviously not true. But what I don't want to see you guys doing is testing out shitty products that have zero chance of working and then keep on split testing different ads, trying to chase a lower CPM when we've already established that a lower CPM does not equivalate into more revenue in the first place. One thing that I've seen and I personally have experience with in these many different stores that I've ran, I've scaled stores with terrible CPMs. I've scaled stores with terrible CTRs, great margins, great revenue on the back end. I've obviously also seen great CPMs and great CPRs, but I've also seen terrible CPM, like $20, $30 CPMs. I've seen like 0.3% click-through rates actually perform good and get a really good ROAS. And yes, we scaled with these numbers and we did great. A lot of the stores that I scaled with these numbers, I actually made into case studies that you can go watch on my YouTube and see the results and see the strategies that we used. And you can see the number one important thing, we were focused on the money, not the CPM and not the CTR. As a matter of fact, if you go back and look at all the case studies, you can see that in my columns, I don't even have CTR there. I don't even have CPMs there. I don't even look at it because I know how little it matters. I know that what truly matters is the ROAS, the cost per purchase, the things that actually make you money are what really matters. And to be honest, the CPMs is just a very, very small fraction of what actually makes you money. Essentially, my point, you can have a very high CPM and still maintain a very high ROAS. The correlation there is not as important as you might think. At the same time, you can have a very low CPM and a very low ROAS, or just a non-existent ROAS at all. And same thing vice versa for click-through rate as well. So when people say like, oh, I have a low CPM or a high CPM, in my comment section or in my DMs, I'm just like, so fucking what? How profitable is it? Did it make sales? Things like this. I look at the metrics that actually matter, not kind of like the fogged over like CPM, click-through rate, whatever. Essentially, my point is, if you're in my comment section talking about CPMs, you are heavily misguided and you need to shift your focus to focus on ROAS and actual revenue. Because here's what's gonna happen. If you come into my comment section and you're like, oh, I have high CPMs, I'll tell you how to get low CPMs. If you want low CPMs, here's what you need to do to get low CPMs. Run ads in India, optimize for reach, and, you know, put like a funny picture as the ad, right? And the reason you're not going to do that is because you don't really care about low CPMs. What you care about is revenue. And we all know that running ads to a funny picture in India, optimizing for reach, is not going to bring in any revenue. Now, I know that this is an extreme example, but it just goes to show you how fucked up the mindset of focusing on CPM actually is. Because, for example, if you wanted a really low CPM versus wanting a really high ROAS, your focus goes in two completely different areas. If you want a really high ROAS, you're gonna focus on following a predictable strategy, something that you can actually replicate, something that's already worked in the past, and you're gonna stick with that method until you see success with it or until you see your high ROAS. But if you want low CPMs, you just fucking run a funny picture in India optimizing for reach, and you're gonna get really low CPMs. One focus is based on the result that you actually want. The other focus is based on complete fog and bullshit, and I just wanna make sure that you're focused on the right places. On the other end, if you want a really high CTR, run ads to a really cute dog and say, like this post if this dog is cute, and I promise you, you will probably have a high CTR. But like I said, our goal should not be on getting a high CTR or a low CPM. Our goal should be getting what we want. And what we want, I'm assuming what we want, is to more revenue and more profits for our e-commerce stores, which I promise you, focusing on getting low CPMs and high click-through rates is not going to equivalent into getting a higher ROAS. Because in order to get a higher ROAS, you need to actually follow a proven strategy, stay consistent with it until you see success. I do have a little story that I can tell you. Around mid-June, like around that time when I started noticing these misconceptions, I actually FaceTimed one of the gurus that was out there talking about CPMs and CTRs. And I'm not gonna say who, I don't wanna bring up any names or anything like that, but I was connecting with him and I FaceTimed him, and I just wanted to see how far this guy would take it. And I asked him a very, very simple question that I think anybody could answer. If you had a $20 CPM, and by the way, this guy was on his YouTube videos talking about if you have a CPM of over $10, it's bullshit, your ad is trash, you know, whatever. So I FaceTimed him, very simple. If you have a CPM of $20, if you have a ROAS of over, 50, I gave some ridiculously high number, and a net margin of 90% on that ad, would you turn that ad off to try to find something better, or would you just scale it with your 90% profit margin? And when I tell you guys, I almost lost my fucking shit when this guy looked me dead in the eyes and said I would turn it off and keep looking for better ads because he thought that he could do better. I was like, oh my God, this guy is fucked, right? Like, I didn't understand how somebody could be so twisted in their mind that they're so tied up on CPMs that they didn't notice that they have a 90% fucking net margin, which is like completely unheard of. It's like barely even possible in this industry nowadays on like a normal winning product. And it just further proved my point of how bullshit most gurus are and why these misconceptions even exist in the first place. And I have a feeling the reason he said that is because, he wanted to back up his claims that he was making on YouTube. Either way, you guys get the point. My point is essentially, do not focus on the CPMs, focus on what really matters to you. If what really matters to you is the CPM, I can tell you right now, all you need to do is run ads to India, optimize for reach, and put up a funny meme or something like that. You're gonna get a low CPM. But if your goal is to get an actually good ROAS and a good profit margin for your e-commerce store, forget about the CPM and all the bullshit that you need to do to get a low CPM, and just focus on following a really, really good method. Stay consistent with it until you see success. And those are the steps essentially, which by the way, I have tons of trainings on my YouTube and stuff, so that I don't need to get into specifics in this video. That's the way that you actually see success in this industry and make money, not by focusing on things that essentially are just like, I don't even know what to call them. It's just fog, right? Like, it's just shit that's like in the air, and like, yes, you could have, low CPMs are good. Yes, high CPMs are bad, but it's like, fuck it. Like, look at the profitability of your actual product and not the click-through rate, not the CPM. Look at the numbers that actually matter, and don't fuck yourself. Now, before I go, there is one more thing that I wanted to address. And earlier I said that I've never seen a bad selling product sell good, but I have seen a good selling product sell bad. This is exactly why we have proven methods and we have things in place that stop us from doing dumb shit. Now, if you are one of those guys in my comment section talking about your low CPM, my number one question for you is, are you following the methods that I recommend? And are you doing things exactly the way that I recommend them? Because the thing is, you could have a high CPM because your ad is just flat out shitty. The thing is, I talk about on my YouTube channel on how to make a good ad. And if you trust me and if you follow my strategy, all the way full and through, you should not be having issues with high CPMs. And if you do, then it's the product. It's like, how do I know that it's the product and it's not the ad, it's not the store? Or, maybe it's the specific video ad or the actor or the angle or, all these different things. And the reason is because we follow a proven, replicable strategy for every single product that we test. So we use the same ad style for every single product that we test. We use the same store design. We use the same ad strategy for every single product that we test. That way, when we have a product that, maybe it gets a higher CPM than the other ones, or maybe it gets a lower click-through rate, we know that it's not the ad creative. We know that it's not the store. We know that it's not the ad strategy. We can directly blame the product itself and not get emotionally attached and go down this big rabbit hole of split testing and just move on to the next product. And that's one of the benefits of following like a proven replicable strategy. And that's the reason we do it here at our agency, is because when we test a product, we know exactly what causes it to work or not work. And the reason is because we follow a proven strategy. So my question to you guys, are you following a proven strategy? Because if you're following a proven strategy, then don't worry about CPMs. But if you're just making ads, just pulling them out of your ass, or maybe you're just stealing them online with no strategy, no kind of structure to your advertisement, then yes, you could have a high CPM, but it's because you're not following a proven strategy. So I know that this is kind of a long and stretched out topic, but of course I wanted to rant and I wanted to tell a story and I wanted to really give you enough information, insight, and perspective on this to change your mind if you are one of those guys out there that's just focused on CPMs, click-through rates, and all this shit that doesn't matter, and get you to just focus on what really, really matters. And obviously the point of this video is, if you want to make money, focus on the things that make you money. If you want a low CPM, then run ads in India. That's pretty much it for this video. I would love for you guys to join this discussion down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If I helped you and I changed your perspective a little bit, let me know. This is kind of one of those mindset things, so I know it's not as valuable as like my full TikTok ad course, which by the way just went up over the past few videos. You should go watch it. There's already been people that have watched the course and they're already making money using the course. Like, I literally laid everything out. I give homework to do in the course so that you can actually follow along and do things with me. So make sure to go check that out if you haven't yet. But leave a like if you want to see more videos like this one. I haven't made a video in this style in a really long time, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. But that's pretty much it for this video. And remember, focus on what really matters. ROAS, cost per purchase, the things that actually make you money, and don't fuck yourself by focusing on CPMs and click-through rate. This is Noah Brewer, and I'm out. Peace.